Okay, so this lesson, we're going to take the EyeWear sketch, and I'm going to build it in Fusion-360. So I've already sketched it out. This is what we would call an isometric view. It's a front view. It's 2.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And so I'm going to bring this in. So I've scanned it. And so now all I'm going to do is I could download it here. So if I click it, it'll download right here. And I'm going to just show in folder. And so that's what I'm going to use to drag into the Fusion-360. So here's Fusion-360. I've opened it up. I'm in the design mode. Because I'm drawing this as the front view of my EyeWear, I'm going to be in the front view here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the object. So if you look up here on the ribbon above, I say insert, and then I'm going to say insert from my computer. I already just downloaded this to this folder right there to my downloads. So there it is, EyeWear front. All right, so there it is. All right. So now it's asking me, where are you going to put this? And so I'm going to put it on this plane. So I need to make sure this plane is selected. And then I'll just say, okay. Now, if that plane you don't see there, you will see that these plane and all is going to be in the canvas. So you want to have these turned on. So if you don't see it, you can turn it on in the origin there. But it should automatically pop up for you. Okay, so there it is. However, I have no idea the scale of this. So what I'll do is then in my canvas, I right click on it and I say calibrate. And that's why we have these measurements. So I'm going to go ahead from, I could do horizontal or vertical, doesn't matter, but I'll go ahead and select one, select the other, and I'll say that's 2.5. And I'll push enter. All right. And then I'll have to zoom out a little bit. So you want to, though, be sure that you are in inches, not millimeters. There's nothing the matter with working in millimeters if I had the corresponding drawing. All right, so there it is. But now I want to actually center and scale it. So because this is half of a frame, I actually want to put this as my 0, 0 because it'll be much easier to flip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this object. So there it is. I can also go to the bottom here, right click and say edit canvas. And I just want to move this. I'm going to move this up, and this green line here is my 0, the origin. So that's going to be, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't really matter where I put it on here, just so long as it's on this is what we call the y-axis, all right? And so there it is. I'm kind of just putting it on there like that. Okay, so that's good, and I'll just say okay. So then it's always good to kind of look at in 3D, kind of see what you're doing. But you'll notice this plane is right there in the center. So now what I want to do is I'm going to flip it later. I'm just going to model this. So the best way to do this is to go up and you'll see to create sketch. And there's a combination that you can use. You can use the line tool. I like to do this fit point spline. And so that allows me then, wants to know where is it going to go. I'll just go ahead and select this plane. And then I'm going to go ahead and start building this. All right. So
before you start, make sure to check off 3D sketch.
Okay. Why is that, Elena?
It's going to think that you're making a 3D drawing.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, all right. So should I just continue on, Elena? Thank you. Elena's going to be coaching me through all this, so that's good. All right, so Elena, I feel like I've already drawn some lines here. Let's get back to my front view. And so I'm going to start this over. I want to do this right. So, all right, so go into the create. And you can also, if you look under here, there's other, I'm just going to go ahead and do the fit point. Elena, you think that's the best one to use?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll go ahead here. I'll start at my center of this frame. And this is why you really need to have your lines and your drawing done really well, okay? So here it is. And so less is more. And so I can go back. So a couple strategies. I'll do one here, quick one. I'm just going to go and just kind of do an overview. So I can do that and then push enter. And there it is. And then I can clean it up if I want, right? So you can do it as you go. so I could clean this up here. And so what I'm doing is just trying to get these splines. I might need to add more splines. Elena, if you wanted to add more points in here, how would you do that?
Mm,
Do you know how to do that?
I don't think I know.
Okay.
Maybe when you
Well,
edit the sketch, that might be
yeah,
an
I'm
option.
pretty comfortable with this. Let's just see. Modify. Okay. So this looks good here. So I got this top where you want to obviously get it so that you're comfortable. I could always make another line. There's nothing stopping me from making this over. But so I've got that. All right. So far, so good. I'm going to continue with this. And so what I'm going to do is then click on where I ended it, and I'm going to just continue working on this. And I'm going to hit enter there, and then I'm going to, because that's a straight line. I could have just done a straight line, but I'll just start from there, and I'll do another one. And so when you do this, you kind of want, as you saw, it's a little challenging. You don't have enough splines. So I'll go ahead and let's move this over a little bit. So I'll click in like the curve of that spline, and then I'll come down. And so you can do, unlike Illustrator, I think you can do more lines than less. You don't want to go crazy though, because then when you edit it, you've got a lot more work to do. So I'm approximating. I'm just kind of going through the center of this, and believe it or not, each one of these between each 2 points is a radius. All right, it's actually a complete radius. What's making it oval shape is the addition of the more splines that I'm adding. All right, so I'm going to just hit enter there because it's going in a whole other direction here. And let's just go from this side. And I'm on this line here. So if I start here, I can actually make sure it's perfect. I can come down, then push enter, and then I'll do the line again. This is the bridge. And it looks a little funky here, but let's just see what happens. All right, and push enter. And then I want to clean this one up, of course, but you can see how the splines become one. And so I don't want any sharp points. Obviously, that's not what I want, but I can clean this up. So you're going to take a little bit more time than I am, but I think you get the general gist of this. You want to be sure that you are, so my recommendation is you don't want to be designing at this point. It's really easy to start designing at this phase. If whenever possible, you want to get that done in the drawing, because what you see here gets to be somewhat distorted. So you want to really try to be true to your sketch. Let's see. All right. So Pete, I think I can add a spline. Elena, can you check while I'm doing this how I would add a spline in there? A point?
1 second.
Okay, so let's continue on here. Point. Yeah, that's it. All right, so there I put the point in there. Very good. All right. So now, because I needed a little bit more, so I felt like, oh, is it going to let me move it? Let's see. Yeah, I think it does. Okay. Well, anyway, maybe not. So once you get somewhat comfortable with it, again, I think what the error I made is I probably had too few splines. I was just trying to be too cool for school, but I'm somewhat happy with that. But again, this is the time, once you commit to these lines, it gets harder to, let's see, can I move that? Move. Yeah, it's not letting me do it on that one axis for some reason. Yeah, so that point is just along that line.
Do we want to fill in the interior circle as well?
So hold on. All right, so let me just, for the sake of my sanity, let me just make this a little bit out of there. It is. Okay, so your question. So I'm going to have to make this inside line. Yes, the inside circle. So there are different things you can do. For example, you can offset right here, and you could say, you know, offset. The only challenge is you notice that because I broke it up into different lines, it's not, if this was one solid line, I could offset it, but let's undo that. I'm going to go ahead and finish this sketch here. All right, so I'm going to say finish sketch. And there's the line. Let's see if I can offset the whole thing. I'm not going to offset it in my in this model, but just if you were trying, if you had something that potentially could, let's just see if that would work. I'm not sure I can offset this because what you want to do is, I actually want this to be in a spline mode, but I'm going to go ahead and start on the inside. So I'll go here, select the surface here. I'm on the same plane, and I'm going to do basically repeat and rinse here, but I'm going to just make it smaller. So let me do that here. Start here. And I think what I should do is maybe put a little bit more splines in than I did last time, because that's why I was struggling there. So putting a little bit more splines and maybe. All right. And so I'm just going to go through here. I already see I need to fix that one. Okay. And so now what I'll do is enter. I'm going to just fix some of these. It's actually not too bad. I do know that when I made it last time, it was the frame was too thick. So I wonder if I could just offset this right now. I wonder if it would let me do that. Let's see. So if I selected this, can I offset this the other way just to make it a little bit thinner? Let's see if I can cheat like that. Okay. All right. Let's get rid of this early one. Yeah, so that's kind of cheating, as you saw I did. I only know this because when I made this model before, I felt like the frame was just too thick. So I can see some places that I probably, you know, want to keep this a little bit, you know, go back in and refine it a bit. So I could do that in theory. But I'm going to just say I'm happy with this. The last thing I want to do is I've got this detail here. So I'll go ahead and finish sketch there. I'm going to make this little detail. And so, you know, what happens is as you do this, you know, what was just a little design element, you've got to really have to flush it out here. You can't really, so I'll put enter, enter, and then I'll start at the bottom again here. So you really have to commit. Now there's no turning back, right? So that's why your sketch is so important. I'm putting, hitting enter. Then I'll start here and go there. All right. So obviously I can clean this up a little bit, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to say that's exactly what I wanted. Let's do something like that. All right. Okay. So that's good there. I'll finish the sketch here. All right. So let's look at what I did. Finish sketch. Let's look at it in 3D. I'll actually turn the drawing off, and you can see I have a pair of frames here. So let's go ahead and we'll do that. We'll do this one here. This is why Elena gets paid the big bucks. All right, I'll select the sketch here. And let's go, we'll do it again, 0.125. And then, you know, it's always good to inspect it, but we'll go right here. Now let's do the lens.
Turn around your view so you can grab it.
Yeah. Thank you, Elena. Okay, let's stop grabbing everything. Why is it selected? I don't know. Sorry. New body, and we'll make this 0.12. All right, and so let's just see what we have here. And I could go down and do the visual style to shading with edges. And let's see what we have. All right, okay, so normally what I would have done here Elena, is normally when I do this, when I did it before, all I did, as I recall, was I just, when I extruded this, I said extrude, and I went in there, but it doesn't give me, and I said cut. Let's go. I think this is what I did last time. And I said cut. And do I have to have that turned on? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so and then yeah, okay, so let's see where we are. Thank you everybody for being patient. As I said, we're gonna spend more time on this. It really is. I'm making it much more difficult than it needs to be. So this is the lens. Let's go back in and let's use that push pull, and let's take this lens and bring it back in a little bit. All right, there we are. Okay. So now what I want to do is just start fine tuning this, and I'm going to do the fillet. So fillet, you can see, is going to put a radius on this. So let's select some of these edges that I want to put on here. So we're going to just select these. I'm going to select all these edges actually of the frame. I'm not going to select the center. We don't want to do that. And so I'm going to do the front and the back side. You on your own design, you may decide not to do them all, but there it is. So then I will figure out what the radius is going to be. And so the radius is going to be, let's see, what's, you could do it manually. Let's see, let's type in 0.01 and see 0.02, see what happens. All right, so you can see the radius is happening. I might want to put a radius on here a little bit too. So I went up here. You go to fillet, and I'll say 0.03 or 0.025. Let's just see what happens there. Okay, you can kind of see what's happening here. All right, so okay, so far so good. Now what we want to do is we're going to make this, we're going to rotate this. So I've got these two objects, and I want to mirror it. All right, so we're going to mirror it over this line here. So I just go, I'm going to come down here, create, I'll go mirror. Wants to know, I'm going to do the bodies, and then it wants to know so the objects, go ahead and select the objects. I only have two here. And then I'll go to mirror plane, which is going to be this orange here. So I'll select mirror plane, and I'll select it. And it should just mirror, and it's a new body, and I'll say okay. So I've still got this weird center of this lens. I don't really care for that. And so let's right click and say move. And all right, sorry. There we go. Okay, so, okay, and I'll finish it. So as I said, everybody, we're going to be kind of doing this throughout. So let me finish up with, I'm going to do the side of here. All right, so let's do the side of this. So I have the side of this frame here. Let's go back, and I'll download that, and I'll bring it in like I just did. So the side of the drawing is right here. Let's go ahead and I'll download it, and then show in folder, right? So I know where it is. It's in my downloads. And so what I'm going to do then is go same process. I'm going to go and insert, and I'm going to insert canvas. And let's go in from my computer. And this was the side view. All right, I'll say open, and I'm going to put it on this. Actually, I could click it wherever I want it, but I'm going to have to move it anyway. So in theory, I could click it right on this plane, and work off that, but let's say okay. But let's just go ahead to the 0. So I'll go insert canvas from my computer, side view, open. I want to put on this plane here, and there it is. And again, what you want to do then is we want to scale this. So I'll go into here. I'll go into the side view. Say okay. I'm going to go right click, calibrate, and I already said this is 5 inches, so I could just actually work from my drawing here. And I'll type in 5. All right, so there it is. I'm going to need to move it. So let's move. Okay, so I think that's where I want it. Edit canvas. Let's move it to where I want it. The only thing is, it's probably centered at the 0 of my computer. So if you look at this right now, it's in the center. I can either move the drawing now or I can move it later. So you got to be careful when you just do things in 3D because it actually didn't move the direction I wanted it to. So I'm just going to build it where it is, and I'll move the object. So I'll go to the right view here. I'll move it where I want it. Move. All right. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to quickly model this exact same way here with a create sketch. Wants to know where it's going. It's going to go on the side view here, and then I'm going to do exactly the same process that I did last time. So I'll just start up here, and I've done this one before, so I know that there's some inherent problems with this one because it doesn't line up properly on the front. But I'm going to go through here, kind of do it as close as I can approximation. And it's important that I close this off also. Okay, so now I can clean it up a little bit as we did before. And so I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I want you to see the process. So there it is. I'm happy with the frames. You want to look at it 3D, right? And then what I can do though is while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and extrude it. So I'd come down to create. Elena, would you say I should finish the sketch first? I'll finish the sketch.
Before you finish the sketch, if you look closely to where the lens and the little stem is, make sure they're connecting so you don't have any problems in the future.
Okay. I'm pretty sure they are. Okay. So finish sketch. Now I'm going to extrude it. I should spend a lot more time on this. So I'm going to just, it's probably better to look at 3D. I can move this later. I'm going to create a new body. So select what I want to extrude. I'm going to go 0.125, maybe a little less than that. Looks okay, 0.1. That's okay. I'll say, all right, new body. And then what I want to do, I'm going to turn the sketch off so I'm not confused. Sketch is off. And now what I'll also do is I'll go in here to modify, and I'll go to fillet. Or did I do chamfer? I'm sorry. I don't want to chamfer. I want to do fillet. I'm going to select these edges. Now, so your inside and outside, you may choose to do them differently in terms of whatever that radius is. And I'll go ahead and try this at 0.015. Let's see what happens there. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 0.03. Okay, that looks good. Notice I want to make sure that I've got a flat surface here. I'll say okay. And so then I'm going to do the same as I did before. I'm going to go to the top view and I'm going to move this, and then I'll mirror it. So I'll take this, let's call this on the side. This is my frame side. And let's go ahead and move that. So I'll select here, move, and I'm going to move this on the top. Just I'm going to move it over. All right, so there it is. Now you're going to find when you do this that you're going to need to reposition things. It already looks a little funky. I actually want to just rotate this. It looks so weird. That's okay. I'm not going to do it. All right, so there it is. I'll say, okay, that's good. And now what I'll do is I'm going to mirror this just like we did before. So Elena, let's hope this worked. Why did that not move over? I must have undid it. Sorry about that. Let's do that again. So here's my frame side. We want to move it. All right, okay. Now what I want to do is I'm going to mirror this. There it is. And I'll take it and I will then go to create and I'll hit mirror. I'll select the object and then mirror plane. That's going to be that center. All right, and I'll say okay. And essentially the frame is done. Now remember, I'm going to go in and render it, but for all intents and purposes, the frame is done. All right, so you want to save it, and then on the next lesson we'll kind of redo this maybe, and then we'll render it. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording.